Welcome to EnVision Center News, where we discuss community impact and involvement with today's nonprofit leaders and philanthropists. Welcome. Thanks for joining us today. I'm here with Lindsay Morgan from a group called Fosterful. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm just going to jump right in. Tell us what Fosterful is and a little bit about your mission and vision.
Okay. So Fosterful is a nonprofit where we are inviting the community to participate in a dark corner of the foster care system. And what that looks like is having volunteers respond to the social worker's office whenever they have a child in their office waiting for any reason, which most commonly it's when they've just been removed from their home, usually tragically and quickly, and waiting to be placed into foster care. And our job is to take a hat from the social worker where they have social worker duties to do, right? Mm-hmm. Tough phone calls, paperwork, and we comfort the child and we entertain and distract and take care of their tangible needs during that moment as well.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So how long has Fosterful been doing this work?
The organization was lovingly created. It is a passion project by my executive director, co-founder, in 2013 over in Vancouver, Washington is where it started.
Okay. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And so this all came out of personal experience and wanting to, really love on these children. So Vancouver, Washington is not here in Idaho. How did
Correct.
it come up into Idaho?
That's a good question because I do love to make that distinction that we are here present in Idaho. And our first sites were open and operating in 2017 in southern Idaho in Caldwell and Boise. And then the next site was open in Coeur d'Alene in 2020. Okay. And then we opened a site in 2022 in Lewiston, and then bringing on an employee who could actually kind of provide the manpower or woman power in this case, right? We opened sites in Kellogg and Pend Oreille shortly after the Lewiston one, so early 2023 this year.
I love it.
Yeah.
Just creeping up north here.
Yeah, right.
Yes. Okay, so how is it going up in our neck of the woods?
It's our newest site here in Pend Oreille, and so we had a great response from the community up here. Once they learned that we were here, you build it, they will come, and they did. As far as volunteers and some sponsorships to get a site operating. Mm-hmm. And so, however, it's been slow in the idea of need requests. And we like to believe that that's because children are in healthy, happy homes up here. But there could be other factors. Sure. Where the licensing staff for the Department of Health and Welfare is actually located in Coeur d'Alene. And so a lot of those children and cases are being processed that way. Also, social workers are used to triaging and taking it all on, and they're not used to help. Mm-hmm. And so they're kind of slow to maybe ask for help. And that's what we're here for. And so we have had some need requests, and we have had volunteers that quickly respond and have covered to help meet those needs of those kids and the social workers.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So let's hear a little bit about you and how you got into this line of work, because I think it's fascinating, and I always like to know what brings people to where they're at the current moment. So
yeah. I'm a huge believer of, I won't say all things happen for a reason because that's just overused, right? But all roads really do lead to Rome, and I know that I'm in the right place, and here's why. Because I feel like I'm a cat that has 9 lives. I feel like in my career and my experience, I've lived 1,000 lifetimes. I've started after college, graduated at Lewis Clark, and in 2006, I started my career in the court system. I worked for our federal judges and our bankruptcy judges in North Idaho, and then from there, I transitioned to the county court system in Kootenai County and worked for all of our judges there. which segued me into a probation officer position, actually. I was an adult misdemeanor probation officer where specifically I was trained in motivational interviewing. There's the tactical stuff as well, but it's really getting to the bottom of what people need to go forward in their lives. And then from there, I actually took some time away from the court system, really to provide flexibility where I could spend time with my son, but I taught painting classes.
Oh, okay.
It just took a left turn, and then came back to the court system as a victim advocate out of the prosecutor's office. And that was where I really developed a passion for children, in that they are the truest form of a victim in my mind. Adults are going to do whatever they're going to do, right? At the end of the day, with good or bad reasons. Yep. And it's the children that truly don't have a choice. And so with my victim advocate heart and seeing at that point the full circle, right, of the system, and knowing how the court system works and why it's there, right, because of problems that our community is facing, and how the kids kind of sort out to the bottom of that. I couldn't exercise my full circle experience until I left the prosecutor's office and sought out how to advocate for children. And what better way than in the foster care system?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I mean, really just an enormous amount of experience that lets you see the whole system, and kudos for you for sticking in it this long. And that's just got to be a lot of heavy work. And now you get to kind of bring the light and the joy to those kids. And I love it. Because
I'm an expert in chaos. Absolutely.
I love that.
I thrive.
So let's talk about some other areas where your organization has been thriving. What has been the biggest hurdle that you guys have accomplished?
As an organization, it was surviving the pandemic, probably, where the needs of social workers and children in the system shifted, just like everything else, right? And it really came down to being flexible and figuring out how to still meet the needs outside of the office, perhaps, such as providing those tangible needs and keeping connected with the foster parents. We were able to do that. And shortly after that, we were able to branch into getting a stronger hold in Idaho, which spreading the love is always great, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We couldn't have done that without building that resiliency through the pandemic.
Fantastic. Okay. And then what kind of hurdles are you guys facing currently? Is this a volunteer problem, a financial problem? How can the community come around you and help face some of these hurdles that you guys have?
Oh, it's all of it, right? We are working off of volunteer hours, which, even volunteering changed through the pandemic. People, especially in Idaho, I can speak to, their responsibilities had changed. And so maybe their availability is less. Maybe their commitment level is less. Maybe their mental health is, not where it would be otherwise. And so we have a hard time sometimes getting things to sync up, where it comes down to, we'll either have a volunteer ready and then the need isn't, or the need request isn't there, or the needs are prevalent and being asked for help and then the volunteers aren't there. And so it's hard to get that to line up, and the turnover of volunteers. I will say that Fosterful is good at providing an opportunity for a volunteer obligation that isn't overly time consuming, in that they can sign up for an hour.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But it's still kind of tough to fill that availability for people to be available on call kind of as needed.
Absolutely. I hear that very much so. Just employee or, the engagement, the volunteer engagement, and then when do you plug them in and how can we plug them in? And it is just a constant balancing act.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So let's see, what kind of upcoming events do you guys have going on or ways that the community can engage with you?
Well, we actually have a Hearth and Harvest, which is kind of our it's a fundraising event, and it's all based online.
Okay.
And that is tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
I know, right? And that's probably just our most readily available event, where people can auction for auction items online, and it helps fundraise our program, which we are trying to expand, just a little side.
Yeah.
But besides that, we are working with here, the Resource Center, and trying to contribute to the
Festival of
Thank
Trees
you.
Giving Tree.
Yeah. I was going to say the Giving Tree.
Yeah.
Where we want to supply some hope and tangible needs to those foster families. So Fosterful really is just trying to close in that gap and get that information so that that's available.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're thrilled to have that partnership. And the reason that we connected with you in the first place was we had learned, we knew of Kinder Haven's closing, and while doing some research and looking at all of this, we found your organization and how you were really stepping into the gap that was left after their closing and helping foster families. And we wanted to come alongside you in any way that we could to support. And we're hoping that this would be a great door opener, first and foremost, to really support those families, and then also to help support you and learn more about your guys' mission in ways that we can maybe feed volunteers and whatnot to your program.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more just about the space that you guys have in your Fosterful rooms and what those look like, because that's kind of fun and people like to imagine, where they would be stepping in as a volunteer.
Oh, for sure. So we have taken a room inside of the Department of Health and Welfare. It's state office, right? And as you can imagine, just like a lot of government buildings, it's a little sterile, and maybe it's just a government operating thing, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. But we wanted to create rooms that were a more nurturing environment and that were more lively and equipped to handle perhaps a child in trauma. So we have taken a room here in Ponderay specifically, and with the right financial sponsors, we are able to transform those rooms. And it's quite beautiful, if I do say so, with my little Bob Ross trees on the wall. Oh,
I love it. Did you came and painted those?
Yes, I did. But I did have some help from our volunteers to put that room together and renovate it and make it bright and shiny and equipped with sensory tools and just fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Allow kids to forget about what's going on outside of those walls and just be a kid for a moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
A little distraction. And the way I like to describe it to the community for a visual is, imagine your living room, and then imagine your living room on one of your toughest days, and imagine those things that comfort you the most. And then break that down to a child's perspective. That's what we try to do in our rooms.
I love that. So if someone were interested in volunteering, what kind of qualifications do they need to have, and how can they get in touch with you?
They have to be 18 or older and be able to pass a background check. And I will say Idaho it does take a little time to get those background checks processed, so a little patience, I'll say.
Okay.
And then we do offer a 1.5-hour training session. It is with myself, and that will help equip them with what our purpose is and how we do it, and a little trauma training. Okay. And then from there, we have them sign a non-disclosure agreement to maintain that confidentiality of these cases. Mm-hmm. And we sign them up on our application that we've designed to get the scheduling going for these shifts.
All right. Yeah. And then how do people get in touch with you, Lindsay?
You just find your nearest rainbow and we're at the end of it, right?
That was great.
But besides that, on a day where there's no rainbows, we have our website, which is fosterful.org, and they can reach out to me, which is probably best by email. And that's my first name, Lindsay with an A, at fosterful.org. We also are on all channels of social media. We have actually really great media presence that way. We have a really great material on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
Nice.
Mhm.
Nice. Yeah, you've got the marketing department down. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here today and for everything that you're doing to our community. I'm so glad that it moved from Vancouver and into Southern Idaho and up, and that you're the face of the organization here. So thank you for being here today.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
it's great to talk
absolutely.
about our exciting work. So thank you.
You bet. All right. Thanks for listening to today's episode. For more information, you can go to crecIdaho.com. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you again soon.